Good morning. I am here today to discuss my involvement as a healthcare specialist in the Greening the Ghetto project. This is a project designed to make the South Bronx a healthier place to live. First, I will give some background information on the South Bronx of some things that have taken place over the years. I will talk about some of the improvements that have already been made thus far. I will also discuss the community needs the community needs map, as well as the community assets map that I have created, and I will discuss the things that are on each of those maps. I will also talk about some of the things that we can do to continue to make this area a good place to live, as far as green sustainment and as far as promoting physical activity and addressing health issues. And then I will also recap on the things that I just mentioned. So for many years, environmental injustice and economic deficiencies have been well documented in the South Bronx, especially in relation to industrial sites, health inequalities, public safety issues, and poverty. With the support of a grant from the mayor, the Sustainable South Bronx movement was born, and nearly $3 million was given to the Hunts Point Riverside Park, which was the first waterfront access point in nearly 6 decades in this area. The Hunts Point Riverside Park is 4 miles of greenway, which opens up access to parks and thereby promoted physical activity by providing bicycle and pedestrian-friendly passageways. Project partners also made improvements to traffic signals for pedestrians, increased police presence at the parks, and teamed with local lawmakers to facilitate upkeep of the park. In 2003, the Sustainable South Bronx established what was called the Bronx Environmental Stewardship, or BEST, Academy. This group is responsible for training low-income residents in New York City to get environmental jobs by teaching them many skills that are necessary for restoring urban green spaces. Once these students are trained and graduate from this program, they are able to get jobs with the Sustainable South Bronx Smart Roofs program, which support New York's Go Green and create green jobs and restore urban green spaces, which have increased access to open space and provide an opportunity for economic growth. In addition to that, there is also a youth job training program where participants have planted 400 trees and helped with maintenance and environmental education. The BEST program also serves as a model in the community revitalization and encourages residents to take on health disparities and environmental injustices in ways that are sustainable and fiscally sound. Since it was founded, the Sustainable South Bronx movement has educated over 500 low-income New York residents to work with the Green Associated programs and graduated 150 students from the BEST training program. 85% of its graduates have been able to find jobs, and more than 90% were hired in green jobs. A recent study also noted that fewer vacancies and abandoned buildings and litter have been noticed in the area since these improvements have taken place. But there's a lot more to be done in the South Bronx. One of the most recent initiatives for improvement in the Bronx is the approval of the $2.5 million in federal funding for the New York State Green Market Regional Food Hub, which was last year in 2017. This funding will allow the Grow New York movement to proceed with construction of a new South Bronx food hub, which will include a new wholesale farmers market, USDA compliant cold storage facility, a food processing center, and other structural upgrades to support local food businesses. The new facility will move nearly 220 million pounds of local produce each year and create 95 permanent jobs and 150 construction jobs, which will help boost the economy in the area and provide this move will also provide greater access to fresh, local, nutritious foods. So, based on the needs asset map that I have made for this community, we have pollution. And the reason we have that is because, as Ms. Carter mentioned in her video, 40% of the city's commercial waste is being dumped and produced in the South Bronx. Also, jobs, because with the improvement and the change in the food hub, this will create more jobs for people in the area. Poor health care is also on the community needs map, and that is because many of the people who breathe in the toxic air have asthma, as well as many of the people who live in the area that don't have access to healthy food have problems like diabetes. Because of the unused highway that was built many years ago that goes straight through the South Bronx, there's spaces there that can be used to build new construction that is affordable for the residents. Activists should be included in the planning processes of the things that will be improved and that will take place in the South Bronx. And waste facilities should be, industry should be forced to clean up the fields of waste that they have produced. So in order to take care of the pollution on our community assets map, we have tougher regulations and increased penalties for industries. Jobs, green-collar jobs will be created. Affordable and reliable health care is necessary in the community. And if we can turn the underutilized highways into affordable housing for low-income residents, that would also be a plus, an asset for the community. So some of the strengths and challenges that the community has, one of the strengths is that the community has already attracted the attention of aggressive activists as well as lawmakers. And because of this, the community is able to get funding for the things that it needs, like the food hub that has already been, where funding has already been allocated. And with activists such as Ms. Carter, the attention has been brought to the right place so that the right things can get done. So of course, the challenge is more funding. So that means that we need more people, we need more activists, we need more lawmakers to get involved so that there can be additional funding poured into making this area better. The most critical health issues the community seems to be facing right now is, again, asthma from breathing in the toxic air, as well as diabetes. So the strengths that can be leveraged to work on critical health issues is opening up the opening of the greenway promotes the desire to get out and do more and to exercise, which can help turn around and decrease the numbers of the diabetes. So the community's mobilization efforts were that they brought attention to the issues of the area and created areas that were conducive to increasing physical activity from the people who live there. The priorities in setting the goals were they created the bike paths and planted trees. Of course, the trees helped to make fresher air, and the bike paths promoted more physical activity. The solution and the intervention was, again, just coming up with these areas where people could get out and exercise more and have cleaner air. The implementing of the plan was the lawmakers got involved and they got the funding allocated to build a food hub. And the outcomes so far, the people are getting outside and doing more. They feel safer because of the increased security, and there's more opportunities for jobs. So now to maintain the outcomes, we need continued communication with the residents to see what is working so that we can reinforce those things and what is not working to try and eliminate those things. Looping back is going to involve continuing to review the processes to make sure the improvements have been frozen into place and that they will be there for long term. So the health issues that could be most effectively addressed are cleaner air, which will hopefully help with our asthma cases, as well as better food choices. Increased activity can help with things like heart disease and diabetes, which are prevalent in this area. So the community will apply the needs and assets maps by using it as a guide for things that can be fixed. And so that can be checked off one by one as progress is made. So from here, the community will just sustain. Sustainability is the key. We don't want to undo what has already been done, so we will continue to build on what has already what has already taken place in the community. So I, as the healthcare specialist, will continue to build partnerships with government and local leaders. I will continue educating residents on healthy food choices, on increasing physical activity, on ways to grow their own fruits and vegetables and produce, and doing things that are good for their bodies, and extend the education opportunities to surrounding communities so that we can expand from the South Bronx to other areas of New York, to other areas of the country, and eventually make this a huge movement so that we can have a healthier America. So today I talked to you about the sustainable South Bronx and the Green the Ghetto movement, and we discussed some of the things that have already taken place that have worked well, and some of the things that we still need to do in the future to continue and to sustain this movement. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you are encouraged to do something in your community as well to make it healthier. Thank you.